example, think of customer interaction, like customer support. You can automate this by AI. And this means you have more time for other things, especially as a startup, as a startup founder. So this is one thing. Another thing is AI decision making. So we humans, we are not good with making decisions that are based on data. Like if I give you now an Excel sheet with like a million lines, it will take you a really long time to analyze this. And maybe at the end you won't make a good decision, right? But with AI it's different. So with AI gets better the more data it has. So if you give AI more data, then it will make a better decision. And this is why it is so good for startups. Startups have a lot of data probably and can use it to make much better decisions. Right, so the third reason I would name is scalability. AI is really scalable. So as a startup, you really need to be scalable. That means you don't know where you are in half a year, right? Maybe you are really small, maybe you have to scale down, but maybe you have to scale up. Maybe you have to hire 50 new employees and make, I don't know, 50K per month revenue, I don't know. So you don't know. And with AI, it is great because it is scalable. That means that for AI, you don't need to hire more AI if you grow, right? And you won't have to let AI go if you get smaller. AI grows with you. And this is important for startups because you never know as a startup where you are in half a year or in a year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Totally makes sense. And maybe to also give reference, basically to try and maybe explain it in another way. Think of AI as, think of when you tell a computer to do, when you press a button on your computer, you're basically telling it one thing, one instruction. If it's pressing A, B, it's just understanding when someone presses A, I need to put something there. That's to some level sort of artificial intelligence or an intelligence of sort. Like there was a mechanism there that told the computer if I press A, let's see, put A on a screen. Now, artificial intelligence of nowadays, or the advancements in artificial intelligence, it has gotten to a point where it can actually reason. Because the other time when you press A or B, it's not reasoning. It's basically just putting things that you put here. It's been told that when someone does this, do this. But this time it can actually think, kind of like how a human would. That is artificial intelligence.
For example, if I tell AI or ChatGPT, create a poem of Hive Colab. It can create a poem of Hive Colab, even though there is no poem out there of Hive Colab.
Yeah.
So we give AI the possibility to reason and to create new things out of nothing, basically.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Now that we are talking about this, do you have any particular startups or particular technologies that you're excited about right now in the field of AI?
Okay, so let me first talk about technologies here. So just to name a few. So there is NLP, that stands for Natural Language Processing. And this is anything from a chatbot to ChatGPT. So everything with language, that's NLP. Then there is something called computer vision that is used in self-driving cars. For example, maybe you know Tesla, the car company. They train their cars to basically see the road like a human would, or the world around them. And this is computer vision. This is also quite exciting. And then the next thing would be AI in healthcare. For example, you give AI a picture of your brain, and it can detect if there's a cancer in your brain. So this is really, really great because this will save like hundreds of thousands of lives over the next 5 years. So this is also a great technology. But I personally think the most important or most exciting technology right now is generative AI. So generative AI is, for example, ChatGPT. But it is also DALL-E. Maybe you heard of DALL-E. This is image creation. Like you type in, create an image of this and that, and it creates an image. So it generates something from nothing. That's generative AI. Because I think this will be really great because this will revolutionize many industries. For example, graphic designers. I think in like 5 years there won't be any graphic designers because this will all be taken over by AI. So that's why I think it's an exciting technology.
There will still be someone to drive the AI though. So
yes, that's true. But you don't need as much people for this.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you, Niklas. I would like to give some examples of these AI companies or these AI technologies that she has mentioned. There is this AI company, I don't know if the founder is inside of this place. It's called Logistify. And they basically count items that are being unloaded from a truck. So if you have like a hardware company and you always have to count bags of cement that are coming from a truck. Now you don't have to. You just put a camera there, it will always see every bag that is unloaded and offloaded, and it will count it very accurately. You don't need to rely on people to basically do that kind of thing. Of course, there are also other examples, but I think this is an interesting example and very simplified one. On that same case, I understand you've worked with AudioStack. That is I think the startup he mentioned that works with a text-to-speech, yeah. And that is basically transforming your text into speech, having an AI say what you'd say, only that you've now just given as a text. I'd like to hear from you, maybe especially from your time working at AudioStack. What are some of the companies or the startups that you've seen implementing AI, and how has it transformed their business or made them successful?
Okay, so first of all, AudioStack. This is like a London, UK-based AI company. So their product was AI. And so I think most of you don't have or don't work in tech startups necessarily, but I think this is still interesting. Because I can tell you a little bit funny story. So when I joined this startup, it was in 2022. It was already around for 4 years, like since 2018, I think. And normally at this stage, in Europe at least, if you're around for 4 years, you're quite big. So yeah. You maybe have 200 employees, you have like a $10 million evaluation. So this is normal for European tech startup at this stage. But they weren't. They were really small, maybe 20 employees, and in debt. So it wasn't looking good. And then suddenly, in the winter of 2022, ChatGPT came around the corner.
Yeah.
And this changed everything. So with ChatGPT, people got excited about AI. People learned about AI and learned how great AI can be and help you. And this led many investors, especially, to come invest into tech companies in Europe. And it is especially the case that nowadays, nearly every startup in Europe has some AI aspect to it. So basically every startup, even if it is non-tech startup, they just put on the website, we use AI for yes, right, powered by AI, this kind of stuff. So I think this really shows how important AI has gotten, at least in Europe.
Makes sense. I think ChatGPT was very fundamental to the change or to the revolution of what we call AI today. I remember around that time we had started earlier, not as Nixa AI, but we wanted to solve a problem that was specifically supposed to be automating business growth for businesses, but we hadn't gotten into that. And when ChatGPT launched, that's when it hit that, hey, actually, we can build our startup around what ChatGPT is already doing, because this can actually be able to build for us automation to help businesses grow more. So I think ChatGPT was probably like one of those times fundamental areas of AI development.
Yes, absolutely. So also your startup, Nexa AI, they are also built on ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, so we are building around models like this. Right. So the same kind of technology that ChatGPT uses is the same kind of technology we used. Of course, this is not to be mistaken by computer vision or predictive analysis. This is mostly generative AI. And we're able to particularly use the same kind of technology ChatGPT uses, which is generative AI, to basically give personalized responses or human-like interactions, answer a customer as if it was a human on the other end. Yeah. So it was probably like the most fundamental change in our startup, basically the ChatGPT launching.
Yes. So on this note, ChatGPT was trained. The training of ChatGPT was basically done on the whole internet, and it took 2 months to train it. Like it was like a huge supercomputer, like much bigger than this room here, and it trained for 2 months basically. So that just means that for a small startup like Nexa AI, it is just basically not really possible to train their own model from ground up.
Yeah.
But this doesn't mean that startups can't use AI. So there are so many AI tools out there that are free to test, but also don't cost very much, that startups can and should use, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Perhaps something that maybe you could throw some shade on. The startups that you've worked with before, were they building their own models, or how are they juggling around creating the apps they were creating, or the impact they were creating?
Yes. So I can tell you a different example. So I have worked with Enactus, like I told you, that's like the entrepreneurship initiative. So we come up with ideas for startups. And one startup was called Crop Buddy. And what we are doing was that we helped farmers in India to predict which crop they should plant. Like, it was an app, and the farmers put in their location, they put in where the weather data, like how much rainfall there is, and it predicts with AI which crops they should plant, like coconut, like corn, like rice, whatever. It just predicts this for you. And we couldn't use ChatGPT, for example, for this, because ChatGPT just didn't have this knowledge. So what there is something called fine-tuning a model. So that means you take a big model, like from ChatGPT, for example, and you train it yourself. This doesn't take 2 months, and you don't need supercomputers for this. It just takes like 2 days or something, and you train it with your own data. But it still is built on ChatGPT. So this would be for startups that would start with AI now. This would be the second step. So the first step would be to use a pre-built AI model out there. And the second step, if you want to go further, is to fine-tune this model then.
Yeah, thank you for that. Now that we're talking about this kind of the startups and the successes, and how they're using, how they are fine-tuning and all these sort of applications for AI. Me imagine I'm a non-tech startup,
Mm-hmm.
actually tech startup or whatever, really. I'm in this audience right now. I want to learn how, I want to get out from this session knowing how I can apply AI to basically help me differentiate either from my competition, especially differentiate myself from the competition, and grow my business, basically be able to grow, take my business to the next level.
Yes.
How would you go about this?
So first of all, there's this big misconception that AI is only for big companies with a lot of money. So that you need a lot of money to use AI, and that you need to be like a huge company. This is absolutely not true, and this is part of the reason why I am here today, to tell you that this is not true. So there are so many tools out there, AI tools, that you can use, that every startup can use, that will help you in your startup, in your day-to-day business. The big word here is automation. So there are a lot of tasks that can be automated that you don't have to do. Let me give you one example. Customer support, for example. This is really time intensive. Like, normally maybe a startup needs 5 hours per week for customer support, writing emails, chatting with the customers. With AI, they don't need this anymore, because, for example, Nexa AI has a chatbot for them. Or there is something called MailChimp. That's a tool that writes automated, personalized emails to the customers. And this will save you so much time as a founder, like 5 hours per week, for example. It will save you time, and it will also save you money because you would have to hire people who do the customer support, right? And so this gives you an advantage. When you're using these AI tools, you do not have to hire these people, and you're saving this kind of money.
I see. Makes sense. I think this is a very important topic, and perhaps this covers. I'd like to have sort of like some clarity on the application, on the possible other applications. For example, I understand AI can be used for hiring. You've mentioned this before, actually. I'm looking at also the internal kind of processes or particular tools where AI can actually maybe save me time, or help me with something else. Do you have any other tools that you can recommend?
Yes, one tool would be Otter, otter.ai, like the animal otter. And what this is doing is, you know, when you have like a Google Meets meeting or like a Zoom meeting, what you're doing is you let Otter join this meeting, like as a person. And what it is doing, it is transcribing what you are saying into text. This is called speech to text, like the other way around. And this lets you later on like review what the meeting was about. And then you can, for example, ask Otter, summarize this meeting. Or you can ask Otter, tell me what my tasks are for this week, this kind of stuff. And this can really help a startup internally, because it also can speed up the processes after a meeting. So if people forget it maybe, then you can just ask Otter. That's one thing internally. Another thing would be Zoho Analytics. Zoho Analytics basically is just like, it's AI based and it's just an analytic tools. So it helps you with your sales, it helps you with your customers. And for example, it tells you, you just put in over the country of Uganda where your sales are. And at the end of the day, it tells you, maybe invest in this company, in this part of the country, and make more sales in this part of the country. So these tools I would recommend, otter.ai and Zoho Analytics.
Nice, amazing. I think you just busted something which is a big AI misconception about AI not be people thinking that AI is so expensive to implement. Yep. I would like to know if there are any other misconceptions that you've seen around that maybe we can talk about today.
Yes, one important one would be that AI is only for tech companies or like for tech startups.
That's a big one.
That's a big one, right? So that is absolutely not true. And I hope, I think that most of you are not from non-tech startups, and I hope you don't fall for this misconception. I mean, you are all here listening to this. So this is not true. So there are so many processes within a startup where AI can help. I just told you some. So for example, another example is hiring. One startup I worked with in Enactus, we had like 900 applicants per half a year. Like every half a year we had 900 applicants. And there was a tool that we used for this that helped us with our hiring. So we told it what we want from the candidates, and it just filtered out, I don't know, like filtered out all candidates until 20. And from these 20 candidates, we could decide. So this is something that every company can do, like every startup can do, and you don't have to be a tech startup. Yes. And another misconception is that AI will take away all jobs. So that's a big one also.
We literally have issues selling Nixa to big corporations because the marketing manager is like, or the sales guy is like, no, Nixa will take away my job.
Yeah, right, something like this. Yeah, and I think this is also absolutely not true. So maybe you know Sam Altman. He is the founder of OpenAI. So he is behind ChatGPT. He developed ChatGPT. And he says that AI will not take away jobs, but it will allow us people to do the jobs that we like. Like, for example, nobody wants to do customer support, right? Nobody wants to write emails to angry customers. Nobody wants to do this. So AI can take over this job. But we humans want to do tasks that are creative, tasks that solve a problem. Like we want to think about a problem and solve it. So this will still be something that we humans will be doing. So it's not true, it won't take away all jobs.
Yeah. For reference, we work with a number of companies in Uganda, and one of them just so happens to be Victoria University. They use Nixa. If you go to their website, you'll see Nixa widget there. And you can ask it anything about the school. How much is tuition? Where is the campus located? Which semester do I do this? Is there half bursaries or whatever, like really whatever you want. But you find that these are the questions that are asked every single day. Like every single day they have hundreds of these questions being asked. And previously they had to answer them. Like they literally had to have people answering them. Now guess what? After Nixa, those same people are doing now more productive things, like actually talking to the people who are very interested and stuff like that. We had this same case with Purifier. They make ceramic water purification purifiers. They installed Nixa in February, and in July they reported a 52% increase in sales. The only difference that happened was them installing Nixa. How that happened, they didn't fire anyone. No one was fired. But the people that were working on their inquiries were able now to allocate more time to delivering, to calling people for delivery, because the AI was already closing the sales inside the conversation, or at least was already having the first conversation before now someone serious comes to talk to the person. So it really doesn't take away any job. At least we've not seen anyone lose their job because of Nixa, but it really augments it to increase your efficiency.
So actually, I think I will disagree on this one with you. I think it will take away some jobs, but it will also create some jobs. For example, like I said, graphic designers. Designing a logo in 5 years don't have to take 2 weeks. It don't have to be really expensive. You can just use a tool like Canva. Like that's another tool I can recommend to you. That's called Canva. It allows you to create pictures, images, logos yourself with AI. And I think these kind of jobs, like graphic designers, they will become much, much less. So I think it will take away some jobs, but not too many, but we won't all lose our jobs. That's not true.
I think this is a very interesting topic. And I think it has been discussed all over the world on which jobs are likely to be taken and which ones are likely to be created and etc. But really, like at the center of it, you see that most of these jobs will just be augmented so someone can do it better or AI can do it better, and this person basically has time now to optimize what maybe has been gotten. Like that graphics designer, their job is probably still there, but maybe they're the ones who judge whether this is a better color or not, or review, something like that. But on the same kind of topic, I understand the culture in Europe is different from what is here. You've been here for some time now. By the way, welcome to Uganda.
Thank you.
I wanted to know what is the difference. What are the differences you've seen in AI adoption or AI usage here in Uganda versus the AI usage in the Europe?
Okay, so as I told you, basically every startup in Europe has some AI component about it. So either they're working internally with AI or they put it on their website, this kind of stuff. So it is like a totally different mentality towards AI. I think here it isn't that way because of the big misconception that AI is only for tech companies, AI is only for big companies, and it is expensive. This is not true. So I think it is really a different approach to AI in Europe. Also because Europe is also always future orientated. So as an investor, you want to be part of something innovative, part of the future. And that's why there's so much investment in AI companies. For example, OpenAI, the founder of ChatGPT, they have now a $158 billion valuation. So that's more than Amazon, I think. So that's just crazy in 2 years. But I think there's much potential for African startups with AI, especially because, for one thing, for example, that in Africa, sadly, there are not so many people who are educated with college. For example, in Germany, 50% of people graduate college. That's not a way in Uganda, for example. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it is something bad for startups, because startups with AI do not have to hire highly experienced people, but they just can use AI. For example, instead of hiring someone who can speak Chinese or very good English for customer support, you just can use a chatbot for this. So I think it's not necessarily something bad for Africa, and there's great potential for Africa with AI.
Oh, I see. Of course, makes sense. I'd love to build something in the UK sometime soon in the Europe. Now that we talk about that, I'm also interested in knowing. I would like to know, maybe this is the last question before I hand over to the audience. So just in case you have any questions, please do prepare them, as we're going to have Mr. Niklas answer them, at least as much as he can. Are there any particular AI trends that you're paying attention to, or anything that you think founders here and business owners here need to pay attention to?
Okay, so for this response, I want to focus on Africa or on Uganda. So I want to mention two trends here. So the first of one is AI in agriculture. I was telling you about a startup in India where we use like an app that with AI predicts which crop you should grow. 70% of the workforce of Uganda are in agriculture. So this is really a field where a lot of potential is basically, and especially a lot of potential for AI. So I think AI in agriculture, especially in Uganda, but also like all over East Africa, will be a big thing. Another big thing will be localized AI chatbots, but for a specific language, like localized AI chatbots. So the number of people in Uganda who cannot read or who cannot speak is unfortunately quite big, especially with the older people. And one solution for this problem is, for example, that you use text-to-speech or speech-to-text, so that the people can just speak into their phones and hear from them back, so they don't have to read it. And this can be in their local language. If it is Luganda, if it is English, or if it is any other Ugandan language. So this is great for people who can't read or speak, and I think this will be big, especially in Uganda. So these two fields, AI in agriculture and localized chatbots in the specific language.
Yeah, makes sense. Localized chatbots. I think we do have a localized version of not ChatGPT particularly, but a natural language processing platform. I think it's called Sunbird. Does anyone know Sunbird here? Okay, a few people here. Yeah, I think it's a localized version. It has Luganda and I think Swahili and some other languages.
So for this, I'm currently working in Hive Colab on a project where we try to do text-to-speech for all Ugandan languages. And we realized that there are no text-to-speech languages for many of these Ugandan languages. So this is like a big field where there can be much more improvement. Because like you have text-to-speech voices for Chinese, for English, for German, like for French, for all these languages, but for African local languages there is not. But so there I think is also a lot of potential in this.
What do you think about the potential? And this is just random. That I'm just thinking about this. What do you think about the impact of other large language models like say ChatGPT getting in on the local? What are the chances that they are going to get in on the local versions as well?
So normally, the way they are trained is they are trained with data that is available on the internet. Yeah. So ChatGPT is trained with every book there is on the internet, basically, and every PDF there is on the internet, every website. And unfortunately, it is the case that most of the websites, like much more than 70%, is in English. Yeah. That means ChatGPT is really good in English, but it is not good in like smaller language, like I don't know, like Swiss German. I don't know. Like it is not good because there's not much document on the internet for Swiss German. So regarding this, I think that there is also much more potential for this because there is just nothing there yet where ChatGPT is localized for a specific language.
Yeah, makes sense. I think they're beginning to make waves there as well. If you use the latest ChatGPT 4.0 model, it's like they have a bit of it. If you ask something in Luganda in the local language here, it's like they actually get it and the AI tries to answer. Okay. So probably they'll get in on it, but probably not.
How good is it? How good is Luganda?
I'd say 60%.
Okay, a way to go, still way to go, yeah.
Yeah, but I know that the local startup here that is handling this is actually way better. Like it's super accurate on it. Lastly, I hope everyone has their question by now. I would like to know if I wanted to learn more, because I believe this is a session that we are all going to live here today, but some of us want to learn more, some of us want to keep up to date and stuff like that.
Yes.
How do I take it from here? How do I go from here and continue to learn more, continue to investigate this and implement it?
The big word here is testing. Just test it out for yourself. Every big AI tool on the internet as a free trial. So you can just test it out for yourself, and if you see that it works, great. If you see that it doesn't work, also okay, then just move on. So this is one thing that's really important. Another one is like stay up to date with AI and its development. So there are so many free courses online, for example from edX or from Coursera or from Udemy, just free courses online that you can watch, or even YouTube. So this is a good thing to stay up to date, and maybe just once a week or once a month read about news of AI, just general AI news. And also I want to say that I'm here for 2 months, and the reason I'm here is, like Ethan told you, to support startups with tech questions and AI questions. And so I please want everybody who has a question or who wants to try AI for once to just come to me, maybe after the session, or Carol will send an email to you. Just like book a session basically where we can have like a quick talk about it, how you could use AI in your startup and if it fits your startup.
Yeah, amazing. How many of us know Google Alerts here? Okay, so this is Google sending you timely updates whenever something happens in an industry or a topic that you're interested in. So for example, for me, I am interested in AI in Africa and AI in Uganda and Nixa AI. So in Google Alerts, you can actually go there and put in the keywords that you want to follow, whatever field that you want to follow. And basically, whenever someone writes an article or a blog, whether international or local, you basically get a daily email or a weekly email that is telling you about the things that happened in AI for you. So for you, maybe it could be AI in agriculture in Africa, or maybe the grants that are in the AI field or potential partnerships that are in AI and stuff like that. This is what I use personally for getting updates, updated with AI, but also doing a few YouTube and stuff like that, or training an algorithm. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've tried this as well. If you go to YouTube today, or even on TikTok, and you show the algorithm that you're interested in AI-related things or technology-related things, it will start recommending to you very nice things that you'd probably be interested in that area. So I highly recommend Google Alerts, or something that can alert you about information happening in that industry.